Have you ever met someone whose presence made your heart skip a beat at first sight? They enter your life as if carrying the very light you have longed for. They are gentle, subtle, speaking exactly the words your heart yearns to hear. They look deep into your eyes as if they understand every wound, making you believe you have encountered a rare soul, one that the universe sent to heal you. But over time, that light begins to change its hue. You feel yourself shrinking, growing weary, and you cannot understand why love gradually becomes a burden. If you have ever experienced that sensation, loving yet feeling lonely, striving yet still feeling wrong, then perhaps you have encountered a narcissist. They do not only manipulate your actions, but also bend your emotions, distort your perceptions, and make you doubt your own worth. They can make you believe that every fault belongs to you, that if only you were a little kinder, a little more patient, a little more loving, everything would be fine. But in truth, it is their game, a game in which only they are ever allowed to win. For them, control is not a habit, it is their very breath. Every glance, every silence, every gesture is calculated to keep you trapped in an emotional whirlwind where they are both your savior and the source of your pain. They manipulate you with tenderness, control you with concern, and love you only to feel more powerful. But the intriguing thing is, even as skilled as they are at controlling others, they still have limits they can never surpass. Their ego is built like a house of glass, dazzling under admiring gazes, yet brittle enough to shatter at a ray of truth. And when that truth appears, everything they have long concealed begins to collapse. In today's video, we will peer deeply into that psychology to understand what brings a narcissist to their knees and the 4 things they can never overcome. Because only when we comprehend the mechanism behind their manipulation can we break free from their whirlpool and reclaim what is most precious peace within ourselves. As for them, once they lose control, once they lose the illusion of power, all that remains is themselves bare, alone, and confronted with the truth they have spent their lives avoiding. First, destructive factor for the narcissist: losing control, when power slips from their hands. And the very first thing that truly brings a narcissist to their knees is when they lose control. For them, love has never been about sharing, it is about domination. They do not seek connection. They crave the feeling of conquest. They do not want to be loved. They want to be worshipped. A narcissist lives on emotional power. Every word they utter, every gesture they make is calculated to control how you feel about yourself. In love, they use attention like a drug and coldness like punishment. When you do as they wish, they praise you, hold you tightly, making you feel as if you are their entire world. But the moment you show the slightest difference, they suddenly go silent and distant, leaving you confused and frightened as if you have done something wrong without understanding why. Imagine you are in a relationship where you must guess your partner's mood every single day, always fearing that a single misplaced word will make them withdraw their love. This is the sweet control a narcissist creates, the kind that prevents the victim from realizing they are being manipulated. When that power begins to slip away, the narcissist panics. It might happen when you stop texting first, or when you set a boundary and say no. It could occur when you cease explaining yourself, or when you stop crying. To you, these are simply steps in your growth. To them, they are acts of rebellion, because your emotional compliance is what makes them feel alive. Once they perceive that they can no longer control you, they react violently. Some become furious, they insult you, cast blame, call you ungrateful or cold. Others play the victim, they weep, proclaim they have been abandoned, insist that no one has ever truly loved them as you do. And sometimes they revert to their old seduction tactics. Sweet messages, promises to change, nostalgic recollections, all designed to lure you back into their web of control. For example, a narcissistic husband may erupt in rage when his wife finally goes out with friends after a long period of being controlled. He feels threatened, terrified of losing his dominance, so he lashes out with accusations such as, "You've changed," and "You no longer care about this family." In reality, what he fears most is not change itself, but losing his central position in someone else's world. or at work, a narcissistic superior may appear amiable and friendly when you flatter them, but the moment you express your own opinion, they launch a covert campaign isolating you, defaming you, or stealing your credit just to restore the power that was shaken. Psychologists call this state narcissistic injury, when an ego built on the illusion of omnipotence is suddenly punctured by reality. In that moment, they feel as though they cease to exist. They become enraged, terrified, and desperate, not because they have lost you, but because they have lost the feeling of controlling you. Ironically, the power they cling to has never been real. It lives only as long as you react. When you fall silent, they shatter. When you remain calm, they panic. When you smile and walk away without explanation, their world collapses. For a narcissist, control is their very breath. And when that breath is severed, they lose not only others but themselves as well. Second destructive factor for the narcissist: being exposed when their image crumbles in public. If losing control cracks the narcissist from within, being exposed is the dagger that strikes straight into the heart of their ego. Their entire existence depends on their image, a portrait they have meticulously painted with the hues of admiration, power, and success. In the eyes of others, they appear confident, ethical, intelligent, and trustworthy, but that is merely a flawless performance. A narcissist lives like an actor, always standing center stage, where the gaze of the audience is the only oxygen that sustains them. They do not live to be themselves, but to be seen, praised, and validated. Therefore, the moment their mask falls when the truth is revealed is the moment they collapse at the roots. For example, a narcissistic boss may cultivate a model image, constantly preaching ethics and fairness, yet secretly manipulate employees, take credit for others' work, or speak ill behind their backs. When these secrets come to light even through a single message, a rumor, or a leaked email, they are not only mortified but genuinely panic. What is wounded is not merely their reputation, but the artificial identity they have spent their life defending. In psychology, this is called ego collapse, when the idealized image they have attached to themselves is destroyed. For ordinary people, mistakes are opportunities for growth. But for a narcissist, a mistake is a symbolic death. They have no room for truth, for truth threatens the very foundation of their illusion of perfection. When exposed, a narcissist typically reacts in three ways. First, they deny everything, they lie, distort the facts, or even blame others. Second, they attack, they seek to discredit, slander, or even threaten anyone who dares reveal the truth. Third, they play the victim, they recount their own story as one of misunderstanding or betrayal in order to reclaim sympathy from their audience. Every reaction revolves around a single goal: to regain control of the narrative. Yet truth has a ruthless quality. It needs no guardian. Once it emerges, it spreads on its own, illuminates on its own, and cannot be retracted. When the public begins to sense the falseness, when admiring glances turn to suspicion, when those who once believed remain silent, that is when the stage collapses. The narcissist loses not only their audience, but also the mirror that reflects their ego. They exist only insofar as someone looks at them, admires them, or fears them. When that gaze vanishes, they plunge into an existential crisis, no longer knowing who they are or what role to play next. Many in this phase descend into paranoia, depression, or isolation. They attempt to reconstruct a new image, to find another stage on which to perform, but no one believes them as before. They lose what is most precious to them, the right to be defined through the eyes of others. Outwardly, you may still see them smiling, appearing composed, posting happy photos, offering profound remarks, but inwardly, they are collapsing in silence, for the thing they feared most has happened. The truth has reached them, and its light will never go out. Third destructive factor for the narcissist: rejection, when the one they despise walks away. If losing control plunges them into panic and being exposed shatters them, then rejection delivers the most painful blow to the narcissist's proud heart. In their world, being rejected is not merely losing a person, it is losing the mirror that reflects their power. They live to be chosen, to be desired, to have someone prove they are special. When someone leaves, they are not simply abandoned, they are stripped of the supreme feeling they once savored. A narcissist can endure your tears, endure your anger, but they cannot endure your indifference. To them, silence is a harsher punishment than any criticism. Silence says, "You no longer matter," and that is something they can never accept. Imagine you once loved a narcissist, someone who made you believe that if they ever left, you would collapse. Yet, after all, you are the one who walks away in silence. No rage, no tears, only a calm that follows the storm. To you, it is liberation. To them, it is spiritual devastation. For they cannot fathom how someone who once depended on them, once begged them, could leave without looking back. For example, a narcissistic husband might have believed his wife would never dare to go. He despised the time she said, "I am tired," because in his mind she would always return. Until one day, she really does leave no reproach, no tears, leaving only her keys and a single note that reads, "I choose peace." In that moment, the husband loses not just his wife but his most devoted audience. The same occurs at work. A narcissistic manager is accustomed to employees bowing their heads in fear and flattering him. But when a subordinate dares to hand in a resignation letter, walking away with a smile and a polite thank you, the narcissist feels as if slapped in the face, not because he loses an employee, but because that person chose freedom over him. In psychology, rejection triggers severe narcissistic injury. It strikes at the illusion, "I am the center of the universe." In the instant of rejection, they feel empty, worthless, replaceable. It is their deepest fear, the fear that they are not special enough to be genuinely loved. Thus, after being rejected, they often lash out. Some try to win you back, texting, apologizing, doing everything to pull you back. Not out of genuine remorse, but because they cannot bear being written out of your story. When that fails, they may resort to slander, hatred, or concocting a new narrative to claim it was they who left. In their world, they can never be the one abandoned. But what truly destroys them is not your act of leaving, but your attitude as you leave, calm, silent, without resentment. For the narcissist, you only truly vanquish them when you stop reacting, stop proving yourself, stop seeking explanations. When you choose silence, you take away their strongest weapon, your attention. And nothing terrifies them more than becoming invisible in the world they once ruled. On the outside, they may feign indifference, pretend to have moved on, even flaunt a new relationship. But inside, they are unraveling. Because the one they once looked down upon, the one they believed could never live without them, has shown them the harshest truth. Their power exists only so long as someone allows it. And when that person leaves, that power and their ego completely collapses. Fourth, destructive factor for the narcissist: being ignored, the silent death of the ego. Nothing terrifies a narcissist more than being ignored. To them, silence is not mere emptiness but a form of psychological death. A narcissist lives on attention. Every word, every action, even every outburst is a performance, and they always need an audience. When no one reacts, argues, or cares, they begin to vanish from the very world they once dominated. In their eyes, the attention of others is the fuel that sustains their existence. Whether it is love, admiration, or hatred, as long as there is a reaction, they still feel powerful. So when you fall silent, when you stop looking, stop speaking, stop feeling, they feel as though they have been erased from the psychological map of the world. This is their deepest, unacknowledged fear, the fear of invisibility. Imagine a narcissist who once made you cry, argue, prove yourself, and explain endlessly. Each time you raged, they felt they still mattered. Then one day, you choose not to react anymore. You do not answer their messages, you do not argue, you do not explain. You simply live on, peaceful, free, no longer directing your energy toward them. In that moment, they begin to panic in the silence. They may call repeatedly, send pleading texts, then shift to threats, attacks, even spreading slander. All of it is designed to draw you back into their emotional game, because your silence is proof that they no longer control anything. And to them, that is even more terrifying than hatred. For example, a so-called friend with narcissistic traits is used to you always apologizing and soothing them whenever they sulk. But when you begin to keep silent, they lose their mind. They label you cold, unfeeling, or even cruel, simply because you no longer play the supporting role in their drama. Or in romance, if you walk away without a single bitter word, without demanding a final explanation, they cannot endure it. For them, being ignored is more brutal than betrayal. Betrayal still leaves a role the victim, but being ignored means the play is over, the audience has left, and the stage falls into darkness. Psychologists call this the silent death of the ego. When there is no longer an external reflection, the narcissist's ego begins to crumble. They feel invisible, lost, and fall into an emptiness they once tried to fill by controlling others. Many descend into paranoia, depression, or addiction to attention. They scramble to find a new audience, to build another persona, but the more they try, the more they realize no one believes in the old performance anymore. The irony is that narcissists often confuse being ignored with being betrayed. In truth, your silence is not revenge. It is the liberation of your soul. It is a statement without words. I no longer belong to your game. And to a narcissist, that is the cruelest sentence of all. They can cope with criticism, with tears, with anger, but they cannot face indifference. When no one looks at them, when their name is never mentioned, when you live happily without them, that is the silent death of the ego they once worshipped. And so the cycle of power closes. They lose someone to manipulate, lose an audience to reflect upon, lose a stage on which to perform. All that remains is silence, and in that silence, their ego self-destructs. Finally, what truly destroys a narcissist is not the pain you inflict, nor the revenge they fear. They can thrive on drama, conflict, even hatred. But there is one thing they cannot endure, and that is the truth. The truth that no one believes in their mask anymore. The truth that the world continues to turn, whether they exist or not. And the truth that you have learned to live in peace without them in your life. 4 factors losing control, being exposed, being rejected, and being ignored are not only the seismic shocks that topple the empire of the ego they built, but also your own journey of awakening. Each time you say no, each time you choose silence instead of reaction, you reclaim the shards of power that were stolen from you. No shouting, no proving required, you grow stronger in your very calmness. When the narcissist collapses, it is not merely the disintegration of an illusion, but the triumph of truth, of light, and of awareness. You need neither hate them nor pity them. For the narcissist lives in a hell of their own making, where there is no real love, no genuine connection, only the echo of an empty self. The message for you is this: do not fight in their mire. Step away, preserve your peace, and move forward in silence. For it is your peacefulness, clarity, and quiet that stand as the most eloquent proof that you have won, not won against them, but won against their game. And when you achieve that, you will realize something profound. You need not destroy the narcissist, they destroy themselves when you refuse to play the role in their drama any longer.